Oklahoma, there are symbols of hope and rebuilding. On the eve of the anniversary of the Moore's devastating EF5 tornado, many will admit there is a bit of anxiety. The massive tornado was more than a mile wide and on the ground for 39 minutes.
25 people died, more than 1,100 homes destroyed, millions of dollars raised. But where did some of the money go? A 2 News investigation uncovers how donations were spent after the Moore tornado.
What 2 News investigator Marla Carter found caught some tornado victims by surprise. Marla?
Well, Russ and Karen, the United Way of Central Oklahoma alone raised $20 million. And for the past month, the 2 News investigators have been poring over how every dime has been spent.
It came with fury.
When I looked to the right, there it was.
Oh man, just ungodly.
It took 25 lives, destroyed 1,200 homes.
Things started falling out of the sky.
The neighborhood looked like a bomb had gone off.
So, Lord, we're asking right now that you do what
We
only you
prayed,
can do, Lord.
we supported, and we gave. Gave to Oklahoma natives who took the stage to raise money. Blake Sheldon organized a concert that aired on NBC and collected $5.2 million. More native Toby Keith stepped up to host a concert too, bringing in $2 million. And then there were the outside donations coming in. So where did all the money go? It went to the United Way of Central Oklahoma into the Tornado Relief Fund. With the concerts and other donations, it raised $20 million. Now, a year later, the 2 News investigators pored over how those dollars were spent. We found $1.4 million, or just 7%, went to immediate needs. Items such as hygiene kits, clothing, food, and gas. Another $2.9 million, or 13%, went to constructing and repairing homes. And coming in at $3.6 million, or 18%, went to long-term needs like mental health. Then there were a number of smaller donations to individual nonprofits. For example, $22,000 went to buying new Girl Scout uniforms and supplies lost in the storm.
I don't think it was a necessity.
Elise Newby lost her home in the tornado. This lot is where her house once stood. After starting over herself, she questions how some of the donations were spent.
Girl Scouts of America are a big enough organization. They probably could have handled doing that themselves.
But that's not all. The 2 News investigators found only $9 million of the $20 million has ever been spent. That's less than half. The other $11 million, or 55% of the money that you donated, is still sitting in the bank.
It makes me wonder, well, what are they doing with those funds? What are they holding it onto it for if it was intended for the tornado victims?
We had some of the same questions. So we sat down with the treasurer of the United Way of Central Oklahoma, Shane Wharton.
However you choose to donate, you expect that money to be spent immediately. So why isn't it spent immediately?
Well, and I think it comes back to there's immediate needs that everybody can see, but then you have that intermediate and long term.
Wharton says the Red Cross of Oklahoma focuses on immediate needs like food, water, and shelter. So the United Way of Central Oklahoma has a different role. It focuses more on long-term needs.
There have been studies that show that sometimes the issues may not show up for 2 or 3 years later for some folks.
The rebuilding process is well underway in Moore, but when it comes to rebuilding their lives, some victims of the tornado say they'd like to see more done.
Donating to the Moore public school system so that they can get shelters in their schools.
Plus, Newby would like to see services like counseling for families that have moved from Moore. The Newbys now live in Norman.
We didn't stay with the school system here in Moore, so it really wasn't made available to us, publicly at least.
The United Way of Central Oklahoma says it's looking for those people that still need help. It's conducting an assessment right now to help decide how to spend the $11 million that is still sitting in the bank. We checked with the Red Cross of Oklahoma and found it has spent or committed 92% of its funds, with nearly 30% covering immediate needs and 70% for long-term projects. The United Way of Central Oklahoma expects to have all of its money committed within the next year. The 2 News investigators will continue to track just how all of those dollars are spent. Russ?
All right, Marla, thanks. Well, our Moore coverage continues tomorrow. We will have live reports from Moore all day, starting at 2 News at 5 a.m. We've also added a special section to our website with stories and images from the storm and the recovery. You can look for that on the homepage of KJRH.com.